Hello, this is Couples Date Night. My name is Akwesi Apong, and thank you for joining us again today. We're very excited to have you. We hope that the past week has been good and you've been able to fulfill your personal and social goals and things that you set on your heart to do. We hope that God has been good to you and your home and your family. And as we meet today, we all have gratitude in our hearts that we have opportunities to live our lives and do things that will bring us satisfaction, joy, and also to help other people in our lives. Today, it's another wonderful opportunity for us to talk about love, marriage, and today we are going to talk about how the way we think, the things we think about can, and the impact that can have on our relationship. So, as we prepare to go through our lesson today, this is a great time to reach out to people you know. We are coming to you. This is a recorded message on Sunlight Radio Online, and you can reach out and let people you know or people you think can benefit from this join us and be part of this. So, as you prepare, we will be right back to get into the details of our message. Hello again, and thanks for joining us on our show today, Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Akwesi Opong, and today we're very happy that you've made some time to join us. As I said earlier, we are going to talk about how the way we think, the things we think about, can impact our relationships. And it's very important because as we go through our relationship, when we first meet as a couple, we come up with all these creative things that help us to develop our relationships. And somewhere along the line, things fall by the side of the road. We're not able to focus on developing these things. And there's a scriptural reference I want to share. It's Proverbs 23:7. It says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." This is a scripture that we've heard many, many times and been used many, many ways. But in the same way, as you think about your marriage, so it's going to be. And today, as we go through our lesson today, I want to challenge all of you to reset the way we think about our marriages, what we think about our spouse. And I'm not going to sit here and say this is an easy thing to do. It's not. But what are the steps we're taking to make sure that we're putting ourselves on the path of thinking positively about our relationship, thinking creatively about our relationships? And as we go through our discussion or our lesson today, we will give you some ideas as to the things that we can do, some steps that we can take to ensure that we are setting ourselves up to think positively about our relationship. Again, I said earlier, this show today is recorded, so we are not accepting any text messages as we've done in the past. So hopefully, if you want to at any point contribute or ask a question, you can go to our website, which is www.enjoylifewithyourspouse.org. Again, that's a place where we archive all our recordings, and also we do have some resources that we can share with you. So it's a great place to go to get some ideas as we begin a new year, it's a great time to get some resources to help with your relationship. And I also want to tell you that the name of our ministry, which is Enjoy Life with Your Spouse, actually comes from the scriptural verse with a similar name, which is Ecclesiastes 9:9. It says, enjoy life with your beloved wife all the days of your life. I mean, it goes on into details to talk about, how fleeting life in the world is, and our lot in life is our relationships, and it's important that we spend time and we focus on them. So spend some time on our site, enjoylifewithyourspouse.org or .com. Both of them will bring you to the same site, and we hope that you find some resources to help. So today, as we get into our lesson, as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about having a positive attitude or positive thinking towards our marriage. Negativity can come in many forms. Criticism, whining, attacking, being perfectionist, or any of those. All these things can push people away or can create an environment that can make our relationships very, I don't know the word to use, I'll say maybe bitter. It can develop all kinds of negative feelings in our relationships. But according to a world-renowned psychologist, Dr. Gotham, he said there's something he calls the magic ratio, and for keeping relationships healthy and stable. And the magic ratio is ensuring that for any number of, usually it's magic ratio is 5-to-1. This means that for every negative interaction during conflict, a stable and happy marriage has one or more positive interaction. So let me say that again. I think I missed my numbers there. So the ratio is that for every negative interactions we have during conflict, we have to make sure we counter that with 5 positive interactions. That is a lot of positive interactions. So that tells you we have to consistently and constantly be investing in positive interactions in our relationship, because that is the bedrock of what will help us to escape the negativity and bring us into a place in our relationship where we feel the positive vibes. What we put into our relationship is what we get out. And I'm going to get into more details on that. What does that mean to your relationship when we say put positive thoughts or positive words or positive attitudes into your, or interactions into your relationship? Can your marriage survive a high degree of negativity? Can someone overcome a negative outlook of life? These are all good questions that you need to ask. Are you naturally negative? Are you a pessimist? If someone says good morning, do you wonder what is good about the morning? Do you see the cup half empty or half full? Do you think that we're making progress even though we've only seen 2 or 3 positive things and maybe 6 negative things? Are you critical with anyone that you get in touch with life? Do you look at incidents or events from a negative perspective? So as we talk about this, you see, this comes down to you as an individual. How do you see yourself? What is your outlook in life? How do you perceive life in general? I think all of these things play into ensuring that we have a positive attitude ourselves, and we're able to translate that into our relationship. Are you quick to say no and rarely say yes to requests from your partner or your kids? Especially if a weekend is coming and your spouse says, oh, this is a nice weekend, we could go out to spend some time together, and you quickly say, no, I'm tired. You're tired, but the weekend is not even here. And I think that sometimes the reason some of these things happen are some of the underlying issues we're dealing with. Maybe we're tired, maybe we're frustrated with our work, or we have other issues going on that it's in certain ways impacting us negatively. And as a result, we allow those emotions and those feelings to take over our mental faculties, our emotions, and then we come out as very negative. But the truth is, we can all take steps to make sure that we can overcome them. We can take steps to make sure that that is not the case. We're not living as negative people. Um, so, have you ever got up close to a magnifying mirror to squeeze your eyebrows? This is a question that was asked. That you see those tiny, tiny. I guess it's some oil buried down in our skin that oozes out. We always feel a little bit relief when we are able to turn to a regular mirror that can no longer see our facial flaws multiplied 10 times. Those mirrors, they have that magnify all the things on your face, and when you squeeze your nose or your skin, you see all the details there. Now take that mirror and magnify viewing yourself or your spouse, their flaws. It becomes very big. The same way that if we focus on the negative things in our spouse, they become very big. There's the quote that says that what we appreciate appreciates. So if we also, in the same way, if we focus on the negative things, that's all we will see. So your feelings and actions help to make a shift from those feelings, and then suddenly all the things that sometimes didn't even matter when you met as a couple all begin to seem very bad, because we're putting too much emotional energy in ensuring that we see all the negative things. Every action is negative. It's a battle that we need to fight mentally by making sure that we shift from those negative things that we see into positivity. I do agree that there are things that as a couple we have to talk about. If we think that those things are impacting us in a way that it's not helping us, maybe there are some habits that we need to address. There are things that we know that we need to talk about as husband and wife to make sure that we are not driving those things into negatively impacting our relationship. But outside that, we have to make sure that we are winning that mental battle of not allowing negative thoughts to rule our relationship. So the question you may ask, what can we do? My personal list of flaws could get really big if I place them under a magnifying glass. Shift the focus. Don't forget that your spouse has some of their own things about you as well. Make a point to identify strengths too. As you practice shifting your spouse's strength, you will begin to see him or her in a new light. Remember, you are aiming to see your spouse from many different angles rather than just one. Your spouse is not just the things they are not good at. They are not just the things that they don't measure up. They are not just the things that you are not happy about. So we have to put ourselves on the path of ensuring that we are looking at our spouses from the things they do well, and the things where they need help, let us be the source of help and encouragement. Let's be the person who affirms them. We've talked about affirmation on the show before. You can go back to review them and listen to how to affirm your spouse. That's one thing we can do to overcome this challenge of only seeing the negative things in our spouse, because those things definitely does not contribute to our happiness, and it will not help us to enjoy life with our spouse. It gets in the way of happiness, joy, bliss, romance, and everything that you can talk about. Let us focus on the positive things And as we begin to do that, we will start seeing all the lovely things that we have not even paid attention to in our spouse. This is Sunlight Radio Online. My name is Akwesi Opong, and this is Couples Date Night. And today we are talking about having a positive attitude or having positive thoughts about your marriage. We'll be right back. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. My name is Akwesi Opong. This is Couples Date Night. We are coming to you this is a recorded show for Sunlight Radio Online, and today we are talking about how to limit or eliminate the negative thoughts we have in our marriage or about our spouse, and how that can negatively impact the joy or the happiness or being able to enjoy life with your spouse, as the name of our ministry is. And as we go through this today, I want to say that this is not an easy thing to do, because as human beings, we see both the good and the bad, and the negative tend to impact us a lot, and it takes more effort. It takes more effort to really put ourselves through the process of saying, I'm not going to let these negative thoughts impact me. I'm going to rise above the negative thoughts. I'm going to put myself on a path of making sure that the thoughts that I have about my wife, my marriage, even my children or my family stays positive. And there are steps that we need to take, and those are the things we're looking at, we're reviewing today. So as we go along, we encourage you to make sure that you are going through that mental process yourself to identify where those thoughts are coming from. So we must make it a habit to pay attention to our thoughts about our marriage and our spouse. So again, becoming aware of yourself and saying, where are these thoughts coming from? Why am I being so negative? Or why am I only seeing the negative? Meanwhile, your spouse probably just did something great, but the negativity is overwhelming you to the point that we are not able to see the positives. A pattern of negative thoughts will grow and cause harm in your marriage. With that said, not all thoughts are bad. Put those thoughts under different lights and from different angles to determine if the thoughts are true or false. That's where it starts. I know one of the things that I remember my wife had mentioned when we talk to couples is not to use the word you always. You always leave your clothes on the floor, or you always don't say thank you. Saying that actually it's a way of showing that the person has never ever done that, but that's an exaggeration. So we have to make sure that even the way that we speak about it, we have to make sure that even the thought, is it true or false? If your spouse does one thing, are we thinking that she's the most negative person in the world? It's just one thing your spouse did that wasn't right. So putting yourself in the place of saying, is this even true to begin with, is where all of this starts. That thought you're having about your spouse, is it even true? Then you will know if that thought requires you to take action or simply change the pattern. If we identify, so let's say that it's true that you've realized that your spouse is not paying attention to things that are important to you. Well, that is something that needs to be talked about. That means that we have to look at other things in our relationship to see if we're making good time for each other, if we're investing in time of prayer, if we're taking care of our health. All those things play into it. But let's not conclude right when something happens that is the way our spouse is. Let us separate the truth from the lies or the false things that happen, and make sure that we are staying on a path of positivity. The three biggest problems making thoughts are negative assumptions, magnifying flaws of your spouse, and imposing should haves on your spouse. When making negative assumptions, we are literally judging the heart of our spouse. The only way to fix the assumption is by asking the hard question. Make it a point to ask your spouse to fill in the blanks for you. So we should not make those assumptions and think that, she's even not going to say hello to me, or she's not even going to ask me to go for a walk with him or her, or she's not going to be romantic or be intimate with me. We cannot make those assumptions. Our minds always fill in those voids, and when we realize they are voids, it's time to talk about them. And as I said earlier, and I've said it again, that this is not an easy process. It takes effort, it takes energy, it takes our willpower to really change the course of the negative thoughts as they come to impact our relationship, to make sure that we are only putting ourselves at a point where we have positive thoughts, positive vibes to help develop our relationship. Also, we have to stop magnifying our spouse's weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. When we shift the spotlight to the flaws, it casts a shadow on the strengths, or of the strengths. Choose to put the spotlight on your spouse's strengths instead of the negative things. So again, let us make it a point. It takes a lot of mental muscle and will and self-control to shift our thoughts, because we have to realize that the more we focus on the positive, we're going to see more of the positive. The more that we tell our spouse of the things they're doing great, we're going to see more of that. So make the choice to remove the unwritten demands from your spouse and change your words from should have to it would be nice if. So watch the condemnation shift from kindness and grace. So instead of always saying that things like it would be nice if you could have done this, we have to shift that in ways of going from you should have done this to say, oh honey, it would be great if you could do this for me. I would have loved it. One of the those phrases that I like is, oh, you remember the other time that you made that special breakfast for me, and you had all these sides, or you baked, or you did this for me. I would love to have some today. That's a better way of saying it than say you never prepare special breakfast. That is a negative approach of dealing with that. So that's a clear example of some of the things that we can do and how we can shift our thinking to ensuring that we're staying on a positive course. So how do you help your spouse get through this spiral of negativity? If you're in a relationship with someone who has negative personality, you are not responsible for making them feel better. However, you are in some way you can help the person or your partner become positive. And again, it always starts with talking about these things, bringing those things to light, having a moment where you can say, honey, I really want to talk to you about something. I have realized that for some time now you've been a little bit negative, and I know it's probably because of your work, or you're overwhelmed, or you're tired, or try to connect with your spouse. And in talking about it, also make sure that you talk about it from a positive point of view. Don't also jump on your spouse and say you're negative and everything you say these days are negative. That will not get us anywhere. So do not take the negativity personally. So know that there could be something underneath why your spouse is negative. If your partner rejects your offer to help, don't overreact. It's a process. Start slowly and work your way in. Spend time with positive people. Again, I can't say this enough. If you find yourself in an environment where people are positive, it will rub on you. And I also want to add to this that let's get in the habit of consuming positive things. I tell you, over the last several weeks, I've actually had times where I stop listening to the TV news, because every time you turn on the TV, it's either somebody hit somebody, somebody stole something, somebody did something bad to another person. And I'm like, is that the only thing happening in our world today? We have to make sure. So that's why I watch home and garden TV and watch people buying and selling houses, because everybody is happy. People going on trips to destination locations. I like those shows because it calms me down. I'm able to see people in some of their best times in their lives, and I'm not saying that's all that there is out there. The reality is that you have to know the news and what is going on and be informed. But beyond getting informed, we have to make sure we are not being inundated with all the negativity, that you watch it so much that you can't even move your leg because you feel that when you move your foot, something is going to happen to you because of the negative things going on out there. So let us invite our spouse to take a walk or do some fun activity, with you at least once a week. So these are the actions that we're going to get into more of that will help us to really kick out the negativity. So if your spouse is negative or you are negative, you have to start taking steps. Acknowledge your partner's accomplishments. So the little things, thank you for working hard this week, or thank you for keeping our house clean, or thank you for driving our children to school. All these things help a great deal. Encourage your partner to try new things. Sometimes we all get so trapped in our little circle, and the little things that we do there, we don't realize that there's just so much out there to bring us joy, satisfaction, and help us to relax in our lives. And so pulling ourselves out really helps. We have to establish healthy boundaries. That's a new topic, a whole topic on itself, when we start talking about setting boundaries. So we have to make sure that we let our spouse know that, I know you're having a hard time, but it's not good when you speak negatively. It does not help me, also live my life the way that I need to. So that is a boundary. You're telling your spouse that, I know you are having a hard time, but that does not give you the permission to speak to me negatively. And this can also be said in a positive way, in a very loving or respectful way, so that also won't become another source of conflict. We have to have that in mind. And if all of these fail, it's important to get professional help. I have said often and over, and will always continue to say, that the fact that you get professional help does not mean something is wrong. We do that all the time. I can change a bulb in my car. My tail light goes out, I can buy the bulb for like $2 or $3. Get in the trunk is very easy. I can change that. But when something major goes wrong with my car, like a transmission or the alternator, I have no clue how that works. So I need professional help with that. And in the same way, there are certain things in our relationship, if we have tried it and we're not getting results, it's okay to get professional help. The successful people in this world are successful because they ask for help. They have advisors, they have accountants who help them, channel their money into right investments, and as a result, they are more successful. In the same way, we have to put ourselves on the path of getting help when we know we need help, and to ensure that we are not going to continue to stay in the negativity that will not help us and will continue to drag us into areas in our lives that will steal all the joy and happiness in our relationship. So again, let's take all the steps we need to take to ensure that we're bringing ourselves to a place where we are enjoying life with our spouse. My name is Akwesi Opong. This is Sunlight Radio Online, and also we archive all our resources on our website, which is www.enjoylifewithyourspouse.org. We'll be right back.